Alright, time for another DraftPhysics.com. Debate physics also, but nobody to debate. They're all cowards. There's nobody brave enough. Can't even pay them, frankly. They're just so afraid. Anyway, yeah, yeah, it's funny. Funny to me, anyway. It's all so stupid. So anyway, so this week we did get some more little pieces of evidence just to pile on. The Mythbuster segment comparing car crashes. They do a nice little clay experiment. Proves nope, no 4 times the energy. No, it only looks like 2 times the energy. Just sits there and says overtly 2 times, 2 times, 2 times, 2 times. No MV squared to be found. Okay, it just doesn't show up. It doesn't become apparent in the evidence. The experiments don't show it. That's why I can't show you any experiments. It's because it doesn't happen. Now there are people keep trying. The Despars and the Stephen Brozos keep trying to do experiments so badly that they force them to come up with wrong results because they do them so illogically and badly. But yes, besides that, nothing. Alright, so again I'll draw this simple. Okay, this is where it all went south. Okay, this simple little concept fooled all the scientists. All the scientists were too fucking stupid, and I'm sorry, it's just too goddamn stupid. Alright, so they figured out gravity did something, right? Oh, look at gravity. Gravity does something. Alright, there, I can put something at 4 times the height, or I can have something at just one little height. Okay, one little tiny height. And something 4 times higher. Okay, now what happens when I drop these things? Well, this one only ends up going twice the velocity. That's it. Just twice the velocity. That's all. Okay, so all this, and it only gets twice the velocity. So, okay, that's interesting. Now, I've done these experiments, by the way. So, especially this one. Okay, then you drop something from 4 times higher, and guess what? It only weighs 2 times the weight. That's all. Just twice the weight. All that height. Only twice the weight. So you have to go 4 times higher to get twice the weight on a scale. I did it with a scale, a little scale. Alright, that's all you get. Twice the weight. Twice, that's it. Just twice the weight. Alright, and what else happens? Time. It takes the same, it's only twice the amount of time. So it's going 4 times, 4 little notches. But no, only 2x the time. So you have velocity saying 2, weight saying 2, time saying 2, and you idiots are saying 4. 4 is the right answer. When, if you understand that, okay, what is gravity, right? You think gravity is it's a graviton, and the graviton hits an object, and it makes the object move towards it. So this is your logic. I actually heard somebody saying that, okay, in a video. I think it's that idiot who, whatever, is Kyle something or other. He's doing anime videos. I mean, he's reading a comic book in the fucking goddamn video. It's good physics. One Punch Man, some kind of bullshit. And you're just, what the fuck? But that's what they believe. They believe that the gravity is made out of little stones that when they throw them at you, it makes you move towards them. I mean, a wrong answer. Kind of obviously wrong answer. So, I mean, Newton figured this out. This is a force, okay? And it's proportional to your mass. So how much you collect of the force, okay, depends on how big your bucket is. Okay, small mass bucket, small amount of water you collect. Big bucket, you collect a lot. So when things fall at the same rate, doesn't mean the same force acted on them, so to speak. One of them collected, obviously, more force. And so when it lands with more force. But it only is twice because it's about how long you're in the force. How long you're in the force will tell you how much rain you're going to collect. How long you're standing in the rain will tell you how wet you're going to get. That's what tells you how wet you get. If you move back and forth and do all kinds of silly shit, that ain't gonna make any difference. Time, 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 time. But anyway, this is how stupid it is. This is the conversation. I have to have a conversation with fucking people that are supposed to have brains, and they can't figure this out. That, well, that's a lot of evidence. That is a lot of evidence. It's only twice the time, it's only twice the weight, and it's only twice the velocity. So why do I think this has 4 times as much energy? I mean, why would I think so when everything kind of just glaringly points to the fact that no, it only has twice as much energy because it was only in the rain twice as long. It was only in the gravitational differential twice as long. Alright, so another video. That Science Asylum asshole did a video. He titles it something like Learn Gravity. Better lessons in gravity. And it's all about special relativity. Special relativity is not a gravity theory. It's a bent time theory, okay? Gravity is really simple. It's just the sun in reverse, okay? The sun shoots out photons. And it shoots them out, okay, from a point source, theoretically, okay? It's from the center. And from that center, it shoots them in directions this way and directions this way. And it's the same number coming out. And so you can sort of understand that the further away I go, they're spreading this way and they're spreading this way. That's 2 directions they're spreading in, which means you end up with this square, r squared. So the inverse square law, photons are already doing it. Nobody needs a complex theory to figure out how many photons are going to hit something. We don't need Einstein's tensors, and we don't need all kinds of bullshit to figure out how many photons are going to hit a square meter on the Earth. We can figure that out really, really simply by just r squared. There. All we need to know is the distance. And then we have this little r squared thing underneath it, okay? And you're done. Well, you need this times the mass. I mean, you need to know how much stuff is coming out of the sun. But anyway, it's not complicated at all. No tensors, no complex bullshit, no blah, 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 blah. Gravity is really simple. Gravity is just light in reverse, okay? It just means that there's more light on the outside and it's getting sucked into the sun, so to speak. And so it's just about how much light's going to hit you. So I get further away from the sun, okay? And I get more light hitting me from the outside. I don't get more light hitting me from the outside. I get less being absorbed by the sun. So the shadow of the sun gets diminished the further away I go. And so there's less of a differential because all of this light can get to me now. But the closer I get to the sun, the less of this light it can get to me. And the less of that light that gets to me, the more I'm going to move in this direction. The more shadow I'm going to see. The thing gets darker the closer I get to it. I mean, it's not complicated at all. And yet they pretend gravity has something to do with relativity. No, it doesn't have anything to do with it. Gravity is just the inverse square law. That's it. That's why it became so important. They had a bit of a controversy about Hooke and other people because lots of people had proposed the r squared law before Newton. All right, Newton just put it together and explaining how everything else works. So he's credited, and appropriately in a way. But yeah, it's this is gravity. Gravity is just understanding the inverse square law. It tells you all you need to know. I don't know what else. But yeah, so that's all this is about, though. It's just the fact that these people are religious. This is their totem pole. This is God. This is Jeebus to them. The Jeebus of the distance. Okay, distance is everything. Time is nothing. And then they do this special relativity thing when they think time is everything. That time is a dimension. Time is all this bullshit. They don't give a fuck about time here. Time is irrelevant. Oh, we don't pay any attention to that. All that matters is distance, distance, distance. When, no, it doesn't matter. The distance is meaningless to gravity. It doesn't care. It just cares how long were you free falling, how long were you generating energy, collecting the energy without dissipating it. See, if I put a little step here, I put a little hill here or something, and it hits the hill, all the energy goes into the hill. So it goes back to zero energy again. So anything that pulls the energy out of the object diminishes its energy. But if it's free falling into gravity, it's just collecting energy. It's collecting velocity. And this is the rate at which it collects it. 4 times the distance, only a twice an increase in the velocity. The velocity is the energy. Alright. But yeah, what is there to say? I mean, the Dispar guy is so committed to this bullshit that he's sitting there trying to prove he can make a free energy machine. I mean, that's how deluded, you've created all these deluded retards with this fake, phony bullshit science. And it's just so bad that, so the stupid Mythbuster douchebag sits there and tries to rationalize it by crushing a can. Oh yeah, the can's doesn't crush even. When, no, of course it crushes real even until you get to the very end. So the very beginning's a little tough because you have to start the metal bending, but once the metal starts crinkling, it's very even. So I mean, there are all kinds of lies and bullshit and distortion, to try to defend a theory that has nothing to defend. There's no evidence. There's nothing to defend it with. Nothing. They don't have anything. There's nothing I can show you and say, oh, look, I can't explain this. This is unexplainable. Nothing. They don't have it. Just fuck. Alright, so we'll read another dumb comment. Okay, so yes, half the mass and has twice the energy. Half the mass and has twice the energy. So obviously it doesn't have twice the energy is the simple argument. So this is back to the lever. You have a half mass, twice the distance. It balances, same weight, same velocity, same time. So we're doing all those things the same again, demonstrating that now they're the same thing, okay? Because the mass is half and the velocity is double, it adds up to the same thing. It's half a bucket, okay? Twice as full, however you want to describe it. So it doesn't, same thing. But there's no twice the energy. You won't ever be able to demonstrate that because the half mass is moving twice as fast, it has twice as much energy. They'll never show you the 5-ton train going 10 miles an hour doing twice as much work as the 10-ton train going 5 miles an hour. No experimental evidence, no anything to demonstrate that that's at all true. That one of them weighs more. They weigh exactly the same. If I put them in a lever, they oscillate perfectly. Okay, so there is no twice the energy. Fallacy, fantasy, fable. Okay, but twice the resistance to motion. So he keeps arguing there's some sort of inertia thing where half masses somehow have some resistance to motion. There's no resistance to motion in, again, any other circumstance than friction. So I guess I'll go back to drawing. What the hell? Alright, so they have the stupid word, inertia. Some fake concept that things somehow resist change. That somehow they're obnoxious to it. When all kinds of experiments prove there's no such thing. Okay, so yeah, I can have a slope and I can put a block of wood on the slope, right? Okay, and it doesn't slide down until I get to a certain angle, okay? It resists the force. So I'm applying a force, gravity, and there's a place for it to go and it's not going. Now, all I do is change the shape of the object, okay? I make it a round ball, and all of a sudden it goes without any problem. It just shoots right away. So all of a sudden the inertia changes because I changed the shape of the object. Too silly in a theory. Okay, so obviously it's nothing about the mass. It has nothing to do with the object. It has to do with the fact that there's some other thing. So, what? If I take a suction cup and I stick it to this board, right? Are you going to say, oh, it has huge inertia. It doesn't want to change. No, it's stuck to it because of air pressure. There's a reason why it's stuck. It doesn't have anything to do with any inertia. doesn't have anything to do with any resistance to change. It has to do with the physical circumstance where you've created a huge amount of air pressure on the outside and no air pressure on the inside, and it's physically stuck. And the same thing's happening here. It's physically stuck. There's little fibers in the board, blah, blah, blah. They're tangled. Okay, that's why it's resisting moving. It's because it's tangled, it's caught, it's stuck. It's like Velcro. Okay, Velcro isn't inertia. So there's no such thing as inertia. I drop something into a gravity, there's a gravity well, and I just take a piece of matter and I poof it. The very instant it exists in the universe, it starts moving. It doesn't sit there and say, I have inertia, I will not move until blah, blah. No, none of that bullshit happens. As soon as there's enough force that acts on it, okay, it moves. Now, obviously, if it's a big, giant mass and you're trying to move it with a little tiny pebble, it's going to take a while for the little pebble to spread all of its energy to all of the other atoms and get all of them to move. Okay, that takes a while. But that, again, is understandable as a physical circumstance. It depends on what it's made out of. Okay, if I make it out of something mushy, then it can vibrate in here a lot, okay, before it finally gets to move. But if it's a hard object, then it's more likely to move. But if it's a hard object also, all of it has to move. It can't just move like pieces of it at a time and wobble and distort before it moves. But there's no real inertia. There's just the physical reality that, yes, a tiny grain of sand isn't going to move a mountain, in some visible way. You're not going to see it. But the fact is, it's going to hit the atoms. The energy is going to be real, and the energy is going to do a real effort at moving it. Okay. But there's no inertia is just a silly, made-up nonsense word. It doesn't mean anything because there's no such thing. All right? All there is weight. That's all there exists in the universe, okay? Energy equals weight. All right? And weight is just another word for pressure, which is just another word for momentum and blah, blah, blah. You can go down the list. It's all the same thing. All right, all you're doing, you give something velocity, you give it weight. You people are so belligerently stupid. Alright, should be back. Alright, mass moment of inertia, it's called. So again, there is no such thing. It's just a silly word. Doesn't mean anything. Energy always goes. All friction is doing, see, they think friction is a force. Friction isn't a force. Friction is a force sink. You're pulling the energy out of something. That's what friction does. It connects to something and steals the energy. It takes the energy. You use energy to have friction. Friction is using your energy. It's not energy from some other place. It's your energy going someplace. Alright, why don't you save face? So again, this idea that somehow I'm the one who lacks the evidence or lacks the cogent and rational arguments that you don't counter with anything. So again, where have you countered the argument that it's only twice the velocity, and it's only twice the weight, and it's only twice the amount of time? Where have you countered that logic with anything at all? Oh, that's right, you haven't. Okay. Although it's too late now, and do a simple experiment. So again, do a simple experiment. Where are you? Where's your simple experiments? We just saw Brozo do a fake lever experiment where, he actually pulls the fulcrum of the lever over to create distortion. And then the silly dispar guy has them at different points, different places in gravity. You can't do simple experiments with any kind of integrity. You have to cheat and distort and pervert. Alright, I already proved that the Professor Lewin experiment that created free momentum has to be a fake because the masses don't add up. Where did you counter-argue any of those arguments made? That there aren't enough little attachments on the air track. Oh, the air track. I did think of another problem with the air track. Why it produces these unreliable results. And they really are very unreliable, frankly. I gave up on it because, yeah, there's no consistency. All right, anyway, so yeah, I'll just mention that. All right, I only need half a board for this one. So yeah, the thing that occurred to me, you have these little carts, all right, and the problem is when they meet each other, okay, theoretically, unless the cart, see, this is where you get good, well-designed air track versus crappy design. So the carts are, when they meet each other, the idea is when you can think of the regular cart is just sitting there, so I'll just draw a square version of it, that the air is going out this way and this way out of the cart. And it's a real problem when the two carts meet each other, obviously, because you have air coming out of both of them, okay, and creating a higher air pressure here, okay. So when they meet, they're actually creating a higher air pressure, and the carts, no doubt, lift up, okay, which means they're going to give velocity in both directions. So, that's a real problem. So, I mean, a well-designed cart would have an edge here, like a little cushion or rubber or something on this edge. So it lifts up above that edge, so you minimize the amount of air escaping underneath, and most of the air escapes down here. That would be a well-designed air track, is one that creates a resistance to air coming out of the tracks this way, because any air that's leaving in these directions is going to be a problem when the carts hit each other and basically close off all of that escaping air and increase the pressure in that area, obviously. And so as soon as they start separating, the air is going to shoot out, and as it shoots out, this cart's going to push on the air from this cart's going to push on this cart, and the air from this cart's going to push on that cart. So now the air is creating momentum. That's a problem. So I guess it could be tested fairly easy. Just put the two carts together in the middle of the track and then let them go and see how fast they push away from each other. But anyway, it occurred to me as one of the reasons. It's only one of the reasons why it doesn't work too well. The carts also just wobble way too much, all kinds of stuff. Alright, so back to the bullshit. Okay. Simple experiment and twist back and forth by hand your two levers. So now, and do a simple experiment and twist back and forth by hand your two levers. What does that even mean? I mean, I've done the experiment, so I've made the lever oscillate with actually making, by your theory, 4 times more energy on one side than the other. And it's oscillating perfectly, which is impossible. Again, you can't draw me a diagram of a lever and explain how one side can have 4 times the energy on it. It's not possible for that to be true. Again, I can say this stuff over and over, and it just doesn't mean anything to you people because you just don't care about the truth. But the truth is that NASA scientists knows that it doesn't matter whether they, take the energy of the gun or they take the energy of the bullet. That the 2,000 joules of the bullet is not going to turn their ship 1,000 times more than the energy of the gun, the 2 joules of the gun. They know it's the same energy. Alright, you feel the difference. So your experiment isn't simple because what the fuck are you talking about? And do a simple experiment and twist back and forth by hand your 2 levers. I don't have 2 levers, by the way. But I don't even know what are you talking about? The levers have to move exactly the same. So again, this is the stuff where you're saying there's no theory for any of you people to pretend there's some possibility that the crap you're talking could possibly be true. There's no theory. You don't have any theory for it. All right? If I have a lever and, okay, here's the fulcrum, and I have a 2 mass here and a 1 mass out here, or I have a lever with a 2 mass here and a 2 mass here, and I oscillate them they will oscillate exactly the same. This part of the lever will move exactly the same as this part, and this part out here will move exactly the same as this part out here. Every piece of the lever will move exactly the same in those two circumstances. You cannot point, like if you did a slow motion camera, or even just did it mathematically. If you just mathematically said, what is this atom doing? What is this atom doing? What is this atom doing? Just take every atom of the lever and compare them. Every single atom will move identically in both cases. There's no possibility of the atoms moving any other way. This has to move this velocity, this distance. This has to move this velocity, this distance. There's no irregularity, there's no inertia, there's no change in this side of the lever here will not move any different than this piece of the lever here. The two circumstances are, as far as the lever is concerned, identical. It can't move any differently. Same energy, same exact motion. You can't change the motion. You can't make it do something different. There's no theory for you people. Nothing. Okay? There's no chance of you being right. Theoretically, it can't be drawn. You can't model it. You can't show how there's any difference. A weight is a weight. All you can tell from one side of the lever is that there's a weight on the other side. You can't tell where it is or what the exact mass is. All you can tell is that there's an amount of weight that you have to counter. That's it. There's no other information coming through the lever. You idiots. All right. You will feel the difference. So that's just a big lie. He has no evidence that anybody could ever tell the difference, okay, between me putting a half mass twice the distance and a one mass one distance. There's no way to tell on this side of the lever the difference between those two things, especially if you use a vacuum. Okay, I mean, there might be some tiny bit of air resistance differences, but there's no way to tell the difference. It's just a weight. Just as you can't tell the difference between, if you have a spring, you can have all kinds of different springs and compress them different amounts, and you're creating a weight, a pressure of 100 pounds. It's 100 pounds. You can't tell that the spring is a big spring. You can't tell the spring is a little spring. You can't tell what kind of spring it is. All you can tell is it's 100 pounds of pressure. That's it. That's all the information you're going to get. Now, spring's a little different in terms of you can flex it and tell the difference. Okay, so we're not talking about that in the spring case. But I'm just saying the lever's just producing a weight, and that's it. There's nothing else going through the lever, the metal of the lever, whatever the lever is made out of, the information going through the lever to the other side of the lever, the information is just weight. There's no other information. All right. You will feel the difference. That's just a lie. You have no evidence. You can't link me to any evidence of anybody ever feeling the difference or doing any of this stuff, so you're just a fucking liar. You have nothing to defend that assertion with. It's going to be painful when you have to finally admit you're wrong. I don't think it will be for you, because I think you've spent your whole life being a compulsive liar for Jesus or something. So I don't know what your motivation is, but clearly your motivation isn't science. It isn't the truth. You produce no evidence and you counter none of the arguments made. You're a weasel, a scumbag, a piece of shit as a human being, okay? And I will prove that. All right, and you'll have to live with my proof over your head for the rest of your fucking life, you stupid fucking weasel. You've done your shit talking, and now I'm going to make you accountable forever. Okay, ING, Gosling, goose shit, fuckhead. All right, you unaccountable, weak coward. You can't make a video, you can't show your little weaselly face, all you do is shit talk. All right, and you're going to get what you deserve. If I have anything to do with it, fuckhead. You lying piece of shit. Alright, after what you've been saying all this time. and saying without a rational counter argument. Where are your counter arguments? Do you have any? You have Brozo doing fake experiments. Now he did two 2-minute videos 2 fucking weeks ago where he's supposed to give us the big reveal and the big answer. Where are his big answers? I debunked both of the shit videos, okay? They're dead in the water. He has no counter argument. He can't make any counter argument because he obviously did a shit shenanigans experiment. It was a shitty shenanigans bullshit experiment. Dispar is even more pitiful in that now he's resorting to Tinker Toy experiments. For fuck's sake. It's just so bad. So let's just show a little bit of the Dispar pendulum experiment. Waste of fucking goddamn time. Waste of internet space doing garbage experiments. I mean, absolute garbage experiments. Yeah, the internet needs more of those. Ugh. Yeah, well, he's got a new video. The lever launcher experiment. Apparently he's gone with his Tinker Toy versions of levers now. But anyway, so yeah, let's look at this piece of shit. So this is to compare two things that are supposed to be equal. Alright, and it's just so obviously not equal. That you're just like, well, what are you doing the experiment for? It's so fucking stupid. So these are apparently clothespins that he's got the weights connected with. I couldn't even tell before. So yeah, this is his, oh there now you can see it. So obviously, look at the distance. All of them have the same distance, okay? This is where the weight is, by the way, right? At the end of the sticks. And he's too stupid to figure out he can't have this distance, okay, be shorter than the other 3. And expect there to be anything similar about the experiment, but you've changed the arc, you've changed the circle that these things are going to be rotating in, and you've turned it into a distorted, a parabola or something, an ellipsoid. And so, yes, of course they're not going to oscillate the same because they're not in this. The masses aren't moving the same double the distance. You haven't the mass in the wrong place for that to take place. I mean, it's just so obviously stupid. Again, trying to prove something they really can't prove, that somehow there's a difference, that somehow even though the lever moves identically, that every bit of theory says it has to move exactly the same because the weights are exactly the same. It has to move identically. And they'll just sit there and say, I'm going to try to prove that wrong. Why? Why are you trying to prove it wrong? It doesn't prove that somehow your twice the energy is going to be collectible. It doesn't prove that it has twice the energy. The fact that you can make the two pendulums not oscillate the same by fucking it up, distorting it deliberately, I mean, obviously, creating non-similar circumstances, doesn't prove that it's twice the energy. So what does this for? What does this prove? Oh, that's right. It just proves you can do shitty experiments and, try to pretend you're doing science. All right. That's all it proves. It proves you're not an honest player, that's for sure. That you really are trying to prove your free energy theory. And it is a free energy theory. You have no other excuse but to say, yes, of course, I believe in free energy. If you believe in free momentum, you believe in free energy. If you believe that one side of the lever can have twice as much energy on it, even though it's oscillating perfectly, then you believe in free energy. You idiot. Fuck you. This is just so stupid. So let's play some of this retarded video. So he went from his made out of his big piece of metal launcher to some Tinker Toy.
Alright, so we're gonna do the lever launching experiment. So this is my construction. It's the same lever setup, but now I have these two attached to each other. I have a little container here, a platform, to put my weights on. So I got a 1 mass and a 2 mass.
Okay, different sized objects, which is really not great, okay, because yes, the only thing we're using now is air resistance. You've gotten rid of friction, ground friction, which is good, but it's not ideal to have two things of different sizes. But okay, it shouldn't make that big a difference. But let's see how we go. So again, this is an experiment that has no theoretical possibility. There's no theory here for him to count on. There's absolutely no chance any other result could be possible if he does the experiment correctly. If an object has twice the velocity at launch, and it's just a fact, it doesn't matter what its mass is, if it has twice the velocity when you launch it, and gravity is going to push it down, and they're going to fall at the same rate, and they're going to hit the ground at the same time, there's no possibility that the one going twice as fast is being inhibited by anything. All right, theoretically it's in a vacuum. We're saying air resistance is so minor and useless. There's no possibility. One's going twice as fast, it has to travel twice as far. You can't get any theoretical other outcome unless you fuck up the experiment some way, unless you make some stupid mistake. There's no other theoretical possibility, you retard. Oh, God, it's just so hopeless.
So I'm going to do this like 20 times and then I will show you the results.
Ah, exciting. Okay, so let's go to that part.
Increase the height of these books with 8 centimeters by 8 centimeters.
So he's increasing the height, which, for what purpose other than they're in the air longer? So the longer they're in the air, the more likely you're going to take away some of their velocity. So ideally, you really don't want to make it higher and higher and higher. But whatever. So let's get the results.
Centimeters height. So when I'm going to lower this left.
Okay, so I'd rather just see the results. Thank you very much.
It's pretty clear the area in which it consistently lands. So between here, mostly over here in this area.
Yeah, yes, okay. Let's get to it.
Over here. So let's say this area. So
very uninteresting. Okay, so
from the fulcrum.
So what's the
fulcrum? I mean, at the end of the lever. So now we have to half the distance.
Oh, okay. So he's not doing the results yet. He's just doing, okay, this is this. All right. So yeah, I want the end result. What's the end result of this farce?
From a fulcrum with 2 mass in it. Platform. Yeah. Now take it away. So
I don't even know if that's the ideal thing. You should just suspend the bar itself, not the mass at the end of the bar. I mean, little details, but I mean, shit.
And so here we have this area. This is 18 centimeters from here to here, and then 19.5 centimeters this area for the 2 mass, and then the 1 mass is between 32.8 and 35.
So 19, he's saying, and 35. So nowhere close to 1.4 anyway. So, yeah, he didn't get exactly twice, but it's close-ish.
So 35 divided by 19.5 equals 1.79, 1.8 almost. And then 42.8 divided by 18 equals 1.77. So it seems to be that it is closer to the 2 times as far as than to 1.4.
Right, and the fact that they're different sizes could have something to do with that, and the fact that, again, the less height you have, probably the better off you would have been, blah, 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 blah. So again, you didn't get what you wanted, blah, blah, who cares? This has no theoretical options anyway. This experiment has no theory that allows you to come up with anything other than you made a mistake, you didn't do the experiment very well. because the theory requires the result. There's nothing else here. Like I said, ideally you do it in a vacuum. You take away air resistance, then you have absolutely nothing to stop the objects. There's nothing slowing them down then. There's nothing stopping them from moving. Alright, so they have to go twice the velocity. It has to fall at the same rate in gravity. So there's absolutely no other possibility of an outcome than twice the distance for twice the velocity. Duh. Shit. So anyway. But you can see, they just really want it. They want it. They want it. They want it. They want to force the answer to be what they want it to be. This isn't about finding the truth. They don't care about any of the theory. They don't care about any of the physics, the science. Okay, it's just about trying to validate. Oh, I found Jesus' footprint. You know, this is just Shroud of Turin bullshit. You know, disgusting. Anyway, all right. So I guess it's sort of evidence on my side, but again, it's really not, because there wasn't any theory for it to be any other answer. Okay, and he's not really measuring what kind of energy it's falling with. What does it hit the ground with? What energy did it have when it hit the ground? Now, I'd say theoretically there's no other choices there either. It can only weigh twice as much, okay? I mean, that's all it can do. Okay, by increasing its velocity, you can only increase its weight. If you double the velocity, you just double the weight. You can't triple it or quadruple it or do any of that. So no matter how you catch this thing, okay, this is the same, basically, the experiment Brozo did, right? Where, you know, he pretends when he hits the spring, right? He gets, my guess would be here. His guess would, you know, twice the energy be way over here. He got a result here. Okay, and pretended he proved his theory. I mean, too stupid. Anyway. Oh, it's just so bad. No comments. Well, it's about what it deserves. Shit. Okay, anyway. It's just... Yeah, there's nothing. You can't... There's nothing to say. This is just so despicably pitiful that not a single person with any kind of physics credentials will counter-argue any of these arguments. They won't deal with any of them. It's just amazing. I mean, even TV shows can, like I said, the Mythbusters can mess up the subject so badly. I mean, you know, saying, hey, it's not twice the energy because when we use 2 springs, it only compresses them this much. Yeah, when we use 1 spring, it compresses it twice as much. They're not even smart enough to figure that out. You know, that if you use 2 springs, obviously your result will be diluted. Okay, the compression of the spring will be half as much because you used 2 springs. Duh! I had no idea. I mean, I knew there were stupid people, but I thought there were some smart people on this planet. Apparently not. I'm the only one. Oh, it's so depressing. Shit. I mean, I guess by smart I mean honest. Because frankly, there's just no choices here. It's clear MV squared was religious nonsense, was invented. It was clear that the history absolutely sucks. The arguments were ridiculously nonsensical. The whole thing has been a farce. It's a physics farce. They ought to just own up. Okay, we made a really stupid mistake. Let's clean it up. Shit. Alright, that's all. Yeah, just get the hell out of here, I think. Alright, so I did do a few videos on the Mythbuster thing, like 3 of them, I guess. Just basically to the point that measurement is tricky. Okay, so yeah, we all have to be aware. Friction does make a mess out of things. It's really not a very good way to measure anything. The Van Briesen video was a pretty good one on how, all the gravity crap is crap. you know, the shit they make up about what space is. You know. Oh yeah, then the little video on the Robert Ritchie guy's nutty theories, and let's see, Brozo, and yeah, but it's all the same stuff, really. Just keep making the argument, keep trying to point out there are certain facts that just you really should counter argue them. You should absorb them into your brain, okay, and recognize that you have to have an argument for them. So 4 times the height, twice the time. 4 times the height, twice the velocity. 4 times the height, twice the weight. That should, you know, it should say something to you that, yes, I have to fix that because somehow I'm arguing 4 times the energy when all of the numbers are really saying twice the energy, twice the energy, twice the energy. Come on. Fess up. Yeah, so that's it. That's enough. Alright, so this has been at DraftPhysics.com. DebatePhysics.com also, but again, just can't pay people to debunk me. Can't pay them to show how I'm wrong and stupid and mistaken. They won't take the money. They won't do it. Yeah. Till the next time, and such.